What's going on, Maverick family? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, I am MC, and this is the Maverick Conservative. Today, I'm going to be reacting to the View crew again. These videos are crazy, man. They always saying some nonsense, so this ought to be a little bit entertaining, depending on what it is they have to say. One of my viewers sent me this video, said that they were spewing some nonsense, and it seems like Joy understands the plight of black people better than black people. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the reaction, but before I do, I want to go ahead and ask you guys to make sure you put a token in the tip cup by hitting that like and subscribe button. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Tim Scott yesterday formally announced his campaign for presidency and laid out what he thinks the American people want. Take a look.
Do you think GOP voters want someone carrying a Bible, or do they want someone driving a bulldozer into the Democrats?
The truth is that what people really want is an optimistic, positive, conservative who has a backbone, but also believes that the best is yet to come.
I believe that the best is yet to come, and we do want somebody that has a backbone in there, and that's why Trump was so good. Man had a backbone. I didn't really care for his antics personally, but we don't really hire people based off of how we feel about them personally. Now, do we? At least people who have a brain that can think for themselves feel this way. We hire somebody based off the job they can do, not for our personal views about that individual.
I don't think you have to be a pessimist to be strong.
It doesn't sound like former President Trump is worried about you.
Well, I'll say this, I'd appreciate his vote as well. So the truth of the matter is that I do think that the power of persuasion is necessary for the next president. I happen to look forward to being that.
I feel him on that power of persuasion, being able to kind of get things done by reaching across the aisle. And I know a very difficult task, but to try and find some type of common ground in order to get something done. But it's kind of hard to, find common ground with a group of people who on the surface anyway, it seems like they really hate this country, but that's just my opinion.
That next president. And so I will take all votes I can get from anyone, anywhere, anytime as I head into this election.
Would you ever try to overturn an election you lost?
No.
So what are we actually seeing here? What's happening?
Well, isn't he Professor Positive?
He is.
Unlike Trump, everything's bad. There's doomsday. He's more in the Reagan-esque morning in America. Things are fabulous. And he's also hedging his bets. He doesn't really go out and say he's not pro-choice exactly. Although he did say, when he say that he would vote for anything they put on the table, the Republicans. So he is not pro-choice. And he's one of these guys who, he's like Clarence Thomas, Black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it. Neither does.
Oh, well, there you have it. I guess this is what they were talking about, right? We just had a liberal white woman make reference that two black men, because they're Republican and was able to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, that they don't get it. They don't understand what it's like to be black. Okay. All right. The nerve of Joy Behar. Here we go.
Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
Yeah.
I
know. I like Tim Scott. I could vote for Tim Scott. I like the optimism. It's such a juxtaposition to Trump. Just to be realistic, though, Trump is polling at 50%. If you combine everyone in the field right now, their collective polling still doesn't beat Donald Trump's. So the way to beat him, I would suggest, is that you need to take him on directly without alienating his voters. I've myself am guilty of falling into the trap because I dislike the man so much, of being like, he could never be president again. He shouldn't get the nomination. 74 million people voted for him. Everyone here has someone in their life who's a Trump supporter. Those people still exist.
See, the mistake that she's making by making a statement of she falls into the trap of I could never vote for him. You have to remove your personal feelings about someone and just strictly look at the job performance. I don't care about anything this man has done in his personal life. All I know is, which is a fact, that when he was in office for those 4 years, the country was running like a well-oiled machine. Did he have some antics or some things that was going on in his personal life that were horrible? Sure. Yeah, but that's completely subjective. That's my opinion. Are there some other people who feel the same way? Sure. But the fact remains, you just heard her say it, 74 million people still voted for him. Does 74 million people like this man personally? I highly doubt it. I don't even know the man, never met him. But I can see what he did when he was in the office, and the job performance is speaking louder than what he's done in his personal life. Just my opinion.
They need to be persuaded. So you need a candidate who's going to challenge Trump, but also persuade people. And Ron DeSantis, who we hit a lot, but I thought he did something kind of smart in terms of going after Trump. He basically put out a tweet showing that Trump spent more money going after DeSantis than helping boost Republicans in the 2022 midterms. That's effective to a Republican primary voter. We need to see more of that.
He's the only one, DeSantis, just a quickie. DeSantis is the only one, I'm informed, who has a nickname, Ron DeSanctimonious. The others he hasn't given a nickname
Yes, give him time.
But
Yes,
that
it will
shows you.
happen.
But he doesn't go after Nikki Haley or Tim Scott yet.
Yet.
So that means he's scared of DeSantis still, I think. Even though DeSantis...
Trump is not scared of DeSantis. I wish he would calm down a little bit and stop talking about the man with this DeSanctimonious name. But, you know, like I said, or, you know, there's certain things I don't like about the brother personally, but I don't care about any of that. You can miss me with all this stuff he's done personally. What was his job like, or what was the performance of his job when he was in office? And it was phenomenal. So I don't care about any of his other antics, you know, and he's not scared of Ron DeSantis.
DeSantis is trailing.
I think that's
Right.
accurate, because if you look at the polling, at least from Real Clear Politics, 56.3% polling average for Trump. DeSantis is closest to him, 19.4%. And so, and Tim Scott is 1.8%. I mean, he's sort of a non-factor at this point. And I don't think I'm you know.
Just like you, Sonny, a non-factor.
I don't think his platform is mainstream enough to have him beat these other candidates. And I think there's a real MAGA base that's going to come out for Trump, and also going to come out for Sanctimonious.
What about you?
Well, the thing I was going to say is, when Tom Yamas just said to him, do you think they want a Republican that's carrying a Bible? And I thought he was going to say, I'd prefer a Republican carrying a Constitution, just because we've struggled a little bit with some of those things. But I'm not philosophically aligned with the Tim Scott. But one thing, having been on this show for years, as we talk and have to deal and survive with Donald Trump, is I really want these candidates, even if I disagree philosophically on almost every part, that we're having candidates that come in that hold some integrity, some civility, some diplomacy. It can come off Pollyanna to have this, you know, yay. But I also don't want to be at a table where we keep saying he has no chance of winning, because what we need is to keep giving more people airtime, because it's the fact that the media only covers Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. So I think that it's important to say, if you are a diehard conservative believer, which I don't think Ron DeSantis is conservative in how he legislates, and Donald Trump is Donald Trump, enough said. So I think that Ron DeSantis oversteps. He's not conservative. So when I know people talk about small government, Ron DeSantis, dating back to the pandemic, went into vaccine mandates.
All right, I'm done. You've seen it. You've heard it. I'm gonna go ahead and get into my final comments. All right, guys, you just got finished taking a look at that. Joy Behar couldn't resist bumping her gums, making her condescending remarks. Let me ask you a question. Who made her the arbiter of who gets it? How are you, a liberal white woman, trying to explain to this black man that he doesn't understand what it's like to be black? As a liberal white woman who gets it, how do you not see that the statement that you just made was racist by telling black people that they fail to understand what it's like to be black simply because they don't fit into the box or support the narrative of what a oppressed black person is supposed to think like? And let's not forget about Whoopi and Sonny, who joined in with their own accusations. These two airheads accused Scott of using a dog whistle and accused him of having a Clarence Thomas syndrome. Here's another question. How can she dismiss Tim Scott's and Clarence Thomas's experiences as mere exceptions to the rule or anomalies? This shit pisses me off. Let me speak directly to the heart of my brothers and sisters for a second. Here's the message that they just shared with you by making those ignorant statements. If you're a black man in America that showed up on time, put in the work, sacrificed, delayed gratification, made all the right decisions and choices to get you to the point of where you're at right now, then my brother, you got lucky. There's no such thing as you pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. Right? Clearly, of course, everyone has help. They have mentors and people who help them along the way. But to say that you pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps doesn't negate or disregard all those people that helped you along the way. It's a disingenuous statement that Joy made by I guess, attempting to try and clown this man for having a belief like that. ignorance. You see, they believe that if you're a black man or a black woman in America, you can't get ahead because the white man and systemic racism is holding you back. And you shouldn't look at other successful black people that believe that because they did it and want to empower you to do the same, that somehow they don't get it. And that's some straight up bullshit. It's that same bullshit mentality that keeps brothers and sisters down and holds them back and keeps them on the Democratic plantation because they believe that they can't. There's some mystical powers called the white man and systemic racism that's keeping them down. Again, some straight up bullshit. You see, the Democratic plantation owners and masses field hands believe that if you're black, you're not allowed to have an opinion outside of the way normal black people are supposed to be thinking. What's wrong with you? You didn't know black people was a monolith? You're not allowed to think for yourself. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. Maverick family, I want to hear yours. Make sure you drop a comment to keep the conversation going. In the beginning of this video, I already asked you to like and subscribe. So I'll close by saying that make sure you share this video by making sure that you tell a friend to tell 2 friends about the Maverick Conservative.